They don't they sell them, be that oh. Are you following? My name is Vivian. One of you asked me why I have been wearing only black and white. That was a very clever observation. Well, this story is not a happy one, and I think it deserves to be mourned. In my last video, I narrated how the European monarchs started searching for alternative routes after the Islamic Ottoman Empire conquered the Western Europe. These great men from different countries in Europe stumbled into the Americas, traded with them, and colonized them. After the Europeans discovered the Americas through their explorations, they started migrating to these new lands. As they sailed towards Africa, the first place they arrived at was the Canary Islands in the 15th century. They built mini seaports and houses around the islands, and gradually they invaded the people of Guanches living in that island. They colonized them, invaded their lands, and turned it into wine and sugar plantations. They turned the original owners of the land into laborers to work for them in their plantations. And little by little, they started sending these Guanche people across the Mediterranean Sea to work for the Christian Asians living there. They don't they sell them, be that oh. Are you following? Remember that I had mentioned in my previous video when I was introducing this story. I said that this first set of the Iberian explorers that arrived at the coast of Africa were more of the Portuguese. And before you know it, this trickish set of people built a naval base in the Canary Islands there and started shifting their activities little by little into the west coast of Africa. They would invade small communities nearby, cause a little chaos there, and in the process, they will capture the natives, the original landowners there, and sell them off to the nearby Asians. This was a trick they taught our African leaders. But before then, African naval troops started mounting resistant forces against these invaders. They tried to defend their territory by sometimes seizing the ships of the Europeans, killed some of their crew members, and destroyed their properties. This defense form of attack, mounted by the African naval forces, forced the European leaders to enter into agreement with several African state leaders. With this format now, the white people were able to tap into Africa's commercial economy without fights and hostility. They were now trading peacefully. So this is when they started transferring these tricks of them to African leaders. Our African leaders, thinking they were doing the best, in the interest of our economy or something, because they started collecting tax and custom duties, from the European merchants because they were foreign investors. They didn't suspect that the whites were intentionally just falling for them. Ka e wee seal the business interests they have in Africa. Later, I will tell you how King Alfonso I of Congo even seized a ship that belongs to an European merchant, seized the ship and all its crew members, because they were trading illegally in his territory. Now, remember that these European guys have started settling down in the new lands they found in different parts of the Americas. But the Portuguese have their evil eyes, particularly on Africa, and they were penetrating us by all means. Remember that they have started, establishing plantations here. They had already built naval base and so many other things. So this is a land they have come to stay in. So they were enslaving Africans in Africa and still take the rest away to the new lands they have discovered in the new colonies. So this was how the first set of African slaves found themselves in Brazil, Sao Tome, Mexico, Puerto Rico, in the Caribbean, Haiti, Jamaica, Spain, in some parts of the United States, Italy, and other places. So they were trading the slaves amongst themselves in their different locations. They started taking Africans away little by little, 200, 300, before the Allah were Messize were Poafia. So even though that the first set of the Iberian conquistadores that arrived Africans were more of Portuguese, there were times when the troop were dominated by the Dutch. There were times when the Spanish dominated. There were times when the English dominated before their Iberian Union eventually scattered. In my next video, I will narrate to you how John Hawkins captured Africans in Sierra Leone in 1564 and carried them away in numbers to their colony in the Caribbean using Queen Elizabeth I's royal ship called Jesus of Lubeck. My name is Vivian. See you on the next video.